Hi friends, let's study about the paths traversed by life. Questions and answers. The theories that are related to the origin of life in Earth. The panspermia theory and the theory of chemical evolution. What is the argument of panspermia theory? The panspermia theory asks that life has originated in some other planet in the universe and accidentally reached the Earth. What were the ideas proposed by Oparin and Haldane on the origin of life on the Earth? The Russian scientist A.I. Oparin and the British scientist J.B.S. Haldane are the proponents of the theory of chemical evolution. According to their theory, simple organic molecules are formed first in the primitive ocean by a series of chemical reactions of certain molecules of the primitive atmosphere. By further reactions, complex molecules were formed including genetic material to involve the first primitive cell, capable of division. Find out 3 examples for each category shown below. Gases presented in the primitive atmosphere: methane, ammonia and hydrogen. Simple organic molecules: monosaccharides, amino acids, fatty acids. Complex organic molecules: polysaccharides, peptides and fats. Most complex molecules: proteins, DNA and RNA. The scientists who gave support to the theory of chemical evolution: Stanley Miller and Harold Urey. Which were the conditions of the primitive Earth recreated by Stanley Miller and Harold Urey? Stanley Miller and Harold Urey recreated the experimental setup in which the glass flask considered as a primitive atmosphere that contained methane, ammonia, hydrogen and water vapor. Instead of lightning or other energy sources, they passed high voltage electricity through the gaseous mixture. The condensed water from this gaseous mixture was considered as the primitive ocean. Oparin, Haldane, Stanley Miller, Harold Urey. The organic substances synthesized through Urey-Miller experiment: amino acids. According to Oparin and Haldane hypothesis, life evolved in dash as a result of chemical reactions of inorganic molecules for millions of years after the origin of Earth. Oceans. The evolutionary stages after the origin of Earth. Origin of Earth, chemical evolution, first form of life, prokaryotes, eukaryotes, multicellular organisms. Organisms without definite nucleus, prokaryotes. Organisms with nucleus and membranous bound cell organelles, eukaryotes. The important theories related to organic evolution. Name the proponent of each theory. Theory of inheritance of acquired characters by Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. Theory of natural selection by Charles Robert Darwin. Theory of mutation by Hugo de Vries. The first person who tried to explain organic evolution but did not get acceptance by the scientific world. J.B. Lamarck. Explain the ideas of J.B. Lamarck about organic evolution. Theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Continuous use or disuse of an organ results variations to develop changes in structure of that organ. These will be transmitted to the next generation to form new species. Why did scientists criticize Lamarck's view? The changes in the body that occurred in the lifetime of an organism do not affect its genetic constitution and hence not possible to transmit to the next generation. Giraffes with short necks, when faced scarcity of food, eventually develop into those with long necks. How can you describe the above view of Lamarck in the light of the view of Darwin? When faced scarcity of food, only giraffes with favourable neck could survive and others generate eliminated. Describe the theory of natural selection proposed by Charles Darwin. Variations develops in each species. Only those variations which are favourable to that nature survive and those which are unfavourable get eliminated. According to Darwin, organisms of one kind, when produced in large numbers, compete for food, space, mate and other limited resources. In this struggle, only organisms with favourable variations survive in their nature. Over a long period, the favourable variations accumulate, resulting in the formation of new species. Acute variations. Landmark. Favourable variations. Darwin. What were the things that influenced Charles Darwin to thought about the importance of nature in the survival or elimination of organisms? His studies in Galapagos Islands and the population theory of Robert Malthus. How Darwin could understand that the 30 different finches found in Galapagos Islands came from a common ancestor. Though the finches were similar in sound and nesting habits, only they showed differences in food and food habits. So, Darwin thought that they were evolved from a common ancestor. According to Darwin, what might be the reasons for the peculiarities of the beaks of finches? The finches of Darwin's had beaks adapted to their feeding habits. When scarcity of food occurred in each island, only beaks with favourable variations to that nature might have survived there. Book published by Charles Darwin with his theory, Natural Selection, Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. The ship by which Charles Darwin reached Galapagos Islands, HMS Beagle. The theory of Robert Malthus was also influenced Charles Darwin to thought about the importance of nature in the survival or elimination of organisms. What was Malthus' theory? In his theory of population, Robert Malthus pointed out that rate of reproduction is not proportionate to the growth rate of human population, and when scarcity of food occurs, it will lead to disease, starvation and struggle for existence. What according to Darwin is the cause of the struggle for existence? According to Darwin, organisms of one kind, when produced in large numbers, compete for food, space, mate and other limited resources. What was the limitation in Darwin's theory? Who gave sufficient explanations to this? Darwin could not explain the reasons for continuous variations in organisms. However, explained that one of the reasons for variations in organisms is mutation. What do you mean by Neo-Darwinism? Neo-Darwinism is the modified version of Darwin's theory in the light of new information from the branches of genetics, cytology, geology and paleontology about the reasons of variations occur in organisms. Hugo de Vries first supported Darwin by his theory of mutation. Charles Darwin, theory of natural selection. Hugo de Vries, mutation theory. In what ways Hugo de Vries described evolution? Hugo de Vries described that sudden and inheritance stages lead to evolution. The branches of science which provide evidences to organic evolution: paleontology, comparative morphological studies, biochemistry, physiology, molecular biology. Define fossils. Fossils are remnants of primitive organisms preserved in earth crust. What evidences of organic evolution do the study of fossils reveal? The study of fossils reveals that complex structured organisms are evolved from primitive simple organisms. Certain linking fossils reveal the evolution of one form of organisms from another form, extinction of some species as well as the emergence of new species. Comparative study of structure gives evidences to evolution. Evaluate this statement. Though there are differences in the external structure among different organisms, there are certain similarities in their internal structure. The evidences from the comparative morphological studies justify the inferences that all organisms were involved from a common ancestor. For example, the forelimbs in lizard, bat and sea cow are internally similar but morphologically different. Reason for these differences are their adaptations to leave their own habitats. What do you mean by homologous organs? Organs that are similar in structure but perform different functions are called homologous organs. How do biochemistry and physiology justify evolution? All organisms are made up of cells with protoplasm. There are similarities among the cell organelles and cellular activities. Enzymes control chemical reactions and energy is stored in ATP molecules in all organisms. Hereditary factors are genes seen in DNA, and the structure of DNA is alike in all carbohydrates, proteins and fats are the basic substances. There are similarities in growth, excretion, etc. What evolutionary inference can be arrived from the evidences from the comparative morphological, biochemical and physiological studies? Organisms were evolved from a common ancestor. What evidences of organic evolution do the study of molecular biology provide us? Through a comparative study of protein molecules in different species, the evolutionary relationship among organisms can be identified. For instance, we can analyze the similarities or differences in the sequence of amino acids in the beta chain of haemoglobin molecules of different mammals, and thereby we can understand about the evolutionary relationship among them. Mutations are the main reason for evolutionary changes. Through the molecular studies, we can find out how mutation occur in the genes that determine amino acid sequence in protein molecules. From this, we can infer the period of separation of different groups of organisms from their ancestor. The differences of the sequential arrangement of amino acids in the beta chain of hemoglobin of man with other animals are given below. Which one is so close to human being? Chimpanzee, no differences. Gorilla, difference of 1 amino acid. Rat, difference of 31 amino acids. Chimpanzee is so close to human being. Find out the missing links in the following evolutionary series of hominoidea. A. Orangutan. B. Chimpanzee. Do you agree with the statement that man is evolved from monkeys? What is your opinion? This statement is wrong. Man comes under the group Hominoidea while monkeys are included in Cercopithecodea. It is believed that both the ancestors of man and monkeys are evolved from a common ancestor. The oldest fossil of the genus Homo habilis. How do modern man differ from the other groups of human beings? Modern men have developed brain and equipped with advanced technologies. Do the interventions of modern man cause any change to natural evolutionary process? How? Yes, biodiversity is on a dangerous decline due to the interference of human beings in nature and natural resources. By human interventions, climatic changes brought in as well as the extinction of many organisms. Here is an incomplete illustration of human evolutionary tree. Find out the missing links. A. Australopithecus. B. Homo habilis. C. Homo neanderthalensis. Thank you friends. Bye.